or go live here to show the different methods that can be used to tie parachutes. So you look everywhere, everyone has their own favorite way, how they tie the hackle in, how they do the post itself. There's so many different ways to do it. I think each has its own good points, bad points. So you see different benefits from different styles, and yeah, I'd like to share a couple of ways that I do it. So for demonstration purposes, I'll be putting a size 12 hook in. These are actually hen's hooks, barbless hooks from hens, specifically for clinkhammers. Try and sort out the light a little bit, it's a bit bright. Okay, yeah, so we're just tying standard parachute post with a different method each time. Hi, thanks for coming, thanks for liking. So we're tying a different parachute post using a different method each time, and we can talk about the benefits of each. Okay, so I'll just use some standard orange parapost wing, and I'll start with this good old-fashioned way that Hans Klinkhammer used. So when he first developed the fly, he tied the parachute post up the hook. A couple of benefits to doing that. Some thread on the hook first. A few turns and take it up to where actually let's cover that before I take it up there. So when you're tying in the parachute post, it's always beneficial to bring the thread down the hook. Let's get something better to demonstrate this with. Bring the thread so it's roughly equal with the hook point. I don't know if you can really see, you can see the hook point there. So bring the thread so it's roughly level with that, and then take it back to the tie-in point, roughly halfway, a little bit over halfway between the two. So the good old Klinkhammer method. I'll double the parachute post over, so I've got a nice thick piece. It doesn't have to be too long, and I'll let the loop go to the top. So you don't need a big long post, but tie it a little bit long so you can cut it off. What I want to do is get this on top of the hook with a good couple of wraps, and as you can see, pulling up helps tighten the thread against the material and holds it tighter to the hook shank. So now got it sort of caught in, then we'll go and trim parachute post so that we get a nice angle on it. This angle helps with taper on the body. So with some flat thread, in touching turns, tie in the parachute post. So we won't be tying the whole fly, but these are just some examples. Really, let's get all of this caught out of the way. So we'll actually tie the hackle in already on this. The hackle, this one's probably a bit short, but for demo purposes it's fine. Excuse me. So we'll strip the post a bit, strip the feather. Get ourselves a nice tie-in point. Now, the feather has two sides. This side, the shiny side, convex side, and then this, the concaved dull side. So when the hackle wraps, because it has this cup in it, I don't know if you can see, so it shapes this way. If you have it tied in so that when you wrap it, it faces down, the barbs will point on the water. If you have it so that it faces up, the barbs will cut away from the water and the fly will sit deeper. It's up to you how you want to tie it. I prefer to have the shiny side facing the water so that the cup is going up, so that the parachute sits that little bit deeper in the water. So I'm just going to catch this in. And what I'm doing is leaving a bit of stem for where I'm going to put the parachute. It's probably too long already. So let's take that back a bit. There we go. I've got to tie it into the parachute anyway. So using flat thread, we put a bit of wax on. I'll tie this down. Come to the parachute. And this is the only thing I don't like about this material, that sometimes it wraps around under the hook where I don't want it to. Just clean that up. I want it all on top. There we go. So I got to the point where now I need to actually I need a couple more wraps and stake in there. This is the benefit of having a rotary vise. You can rotate it to get the best view that you need. And unfortunately that's not the best view for you. Let me change that. And I really don't like it when the post gets in the way like so. That's better. And it's a long hackle fibre, so it's going to be getting in the way a bit there, but it's fine. Okay, that will do. So now I'll do a couple of wraps, or more than a couple, to start to get this to sit up. Again with flat thread, I'll start to post. So each time, hold the post and pull tight. The tighter the post, the more stable it is. So I've posted it now. It's nice and tight. Can do another couple of wraps in front just to make sure that it's standing up. And now take the feather round. It's enough in touching turns and tie off. Okay, sorry. So we've got the hackle on. Now it's time to whip finish at the bottom of the hook. Try not to move that. So just bring the thread round. Try to avoid catching So standard clink hammer, we have the post tied in with, zoom in a little bit more, on the top of the shank, which gives us some taper, which we always like. The hackle feather was tied in on the way up the back of the post, and then posted in and whip finished underneath the hackle. Standard clink hammer way of doing it. So another method that you might want to use is, I find this good for smaller hooks, this method in fact. You don't need as much taper. But taper's always good on the fly. But with a smaller hook, it's not so critical to get a big taper like you would want on these size hooks. So the original clink hammer method is really good on bigger hooks, I find. So again, same posting material. What I'll do this time is look how much post I want roughly, and then double it. To avoid wasting too much post material. Again, down level with the hook point, roughly halfway back, and I always like my thread to be flat. So what I'll do this time is take the post under the hook, and just show that again, just to be sure. So take it under and pull it up. Position it to where you want it to be, and then take a couple of wraps at the front and the back to start catching it in. I don't like this method on larger hooks because you don't get the taper, but for smaller hooks, because the post material has gone around the hook shank, you can't pull it off. It's a lot stronger, and that really works well on smaller gauge hooks. So now we've tied it in, take the hackle. This time, using the hackle, where I'm going to tie it in, I want the edge that touches the post to have less fibres on, just a few less, just to help get that first wrap. You can see here there's less, a couple more, 2 or 3, doesn't have to be a great deal. And I want to tie it in so that it sits pointing up the hook shank, up the post, the shiny side facing me. Because again, the shiny side's facing, so when I bend, the shiny side's facing, so when I bend it, it will be, excuse my hand there, all cut. It will mean that the hackle is cupped the right way. So again, with some flat thread, a little bit of wax, no harm, and I'll start to post with the hackle already tied in, so to form part of the post. It makes it strong this way. And again, flat thread, holding the post, pull with the other hand, pull the thread tight, and then do the wrap, then pull tight, wrap, pull tight. So flat thread and touching turns. Using white thread like this, when you pull it tight, you see the color change, and that's when you know you've got it right. You can always, of course, put a drop of super glue on the post after you've tied it to give it extra strength, or you can put super glue on the post before you wrap the hackle on to help it stick and stay solid. So I've gone up and down, pulled it tight. I'll bring the hook, bring the thread back over the post. So the hook has gone, the thread, sorry, has gone around the post, over the shank, and now is hanging on my side. Again, take the hackle, the few stripped fibres helps it lay first time well, and then it's a case of touching turns down to the tying point. Couple of wraps, again with flat thread. For me, 3's enough underneath, 3's enough on top, 1 underneath is normally good enough. Bring this back here. Now don't use scissors. You can use scissors in fact, but don't close your scissors. Keep the little V and just push against the hackle. What that does, instead of cutting the fibres away, you just trim, slice through the rachis, which is what you want in this case. So very similar looking, apart from the taper, to the original clink hammer method. Again, we can whip finish, you could super glue it. As usual, try not to catch hackle fibres. If you do, pluck them out. You can always do that. Not the biggest issue in the world. Tighten up. Again, because I'm using GSP here, I'll use my cutting tool, trim this away, and again, so not much difference to the original clink hammer method, apart from you tie the hackle in at the side and the post is underneath, so you can really put some pressure on that and it's not going to pull free. Really good for small hooks, I find. So the next method, yes, there's more. Again, GSP, slippy on hooks, so I'll use a bit of wax to help counter that that slippiness. Again, catching just behind the eye, a few turns with flat thread as well. You can see it's not flat there. Let's spin that to flatten out again. Take it down, roughly the hook point, back to the halfway point. And this time I'll trim the post material again. Only 1, don't want it too long. I don't want to tie this too short. So this time, tie it in on top of the hook. So I'll do 2 wraps over here just to get it on, and then rotate it. And then take a couple of wraps and figure 8 this way, and a couple of wraps this way. So what does this do differently? So instead of having material under the hook shank, we've got nothing under here now. So you don't get the bulkiness underneath. The downside is, of course, it's only thread holding it on, but the thread is pretty strong. So similar to the other method, but yeah, again, what I find missing is the nice taper down the body. But yeah, tie it in. Once we're ready, we'll just get 1 wrap over, start to post. You're free to tie the hackle in now. Sometimes you can find it can be a bit of a pain as well. So I'll tie the post first this time, and again with each wrap, hold the post, pull tight. Good to use this white thread so that you can see through it. You don't need a big long post either. You can see these huge long posts on flies. So this time I've posted it first. At this point I could put some super glue or varnish on there to give it a bit more strength. I'm not going to. I'll wax my thread for a bit of grip. And this time, wow, that's a small hackle. Using the same method to tie in the hackle. So what I'm aiming to do is get the stripped parts of the hackle level with the top of the post. So a quick measure. It doesn't have to be perfect. Try and get it over, not under, but not by too much. So what's happened here is the feather's gone the wrong way around. So when I try to bend it down, it will keep twisting the wrong way. So I'm going to take that off. Tighten again, making sure that the shiny side is pointing out. Just always manipulate the feather to what you need it to do. That should be okay. Good. So now I've already got a fairly strong post in there, so with touching turns, I don't need to keep pulling on the post each time, but because it's a long feather, I have to move out of the way. So this method gives no taper, unfortunately, no bolt underneath the thorax, which is also preferable with smaller hooks, and also because you're giving extra winds up the post while you're tying in the hackle, it makes your post a lot stronger. So again, we've got the hackle cupping up. I've got a stray fibre here. Okay. Let's get him out of the way. Take your time on these things, right? Just make sure it's what you want it to be, how you want it to be. And if you need to wet your fingers, use a little jar with some water in it. You don't know what's been on these fly tying materials. So manipulate the hackle around the post again. A few turns, touching turns, till you get down to where you need it to be, and then pull the feather down so it's under the hook, pulling it straight down. This should make the hackle fibres splay out, and then you can get your thread exactly where you want it to be without trapping too many fibres. So I'll go under it so it locks the feather in. Now really, this is really nice and tight, so I can just snip this away. And again, it's there so I can whip finish. Use a tool, use your hand, however you want to do it. But of course, try not to catch any of those hackle fibres, sorry. There we go. Tighten up. How's a good rule of thumb? The post should be the same as the shank length of the hook. So if we take another hook, let's have a look what we've got. So you can see, here's the hook. Let's put it up against the post. It's going to be difficult to do from that side, so roughly here. So we want to trim it there. So not the best view. Let's try and, not the best hackle to use, but there are no hackle fibres. We've got a nice flat, even with this method, we've got a nice flat hackle, so the fly will sit in the meniscus with the hackle sitting on top. Because it's cupped, it will sit a bit lower. Got the post nice and visible, not too long. And another way to tie a post. There's more, right? And these are the ones that I like to use, and the reasons I like to use them. So again, we'll put the hook in, some wax on the thread. And this is a method that I found from Tim Flagler. I think it's a really good method. And with this one, we'll make another change as well. So again, a few turns, flat thread. Through the hook point again, back up to the tying in point. Now I'll get a new piece because I don't want it to be long, I don't want it to be difficult. So this time I'll tie in the post and leave a little bit of a tag in there. Again, keeping it on top of the hook. Pulling up to pull down. Let's get that out of the way, it's a bit of a mess there. Okay, that's got it. Nope. He's gone. So a couple of wraps to hold it. Again with the scissors, and again, trim a taper. Keeping thread flat. I'm going to tie in down the body. I mean, you should put a bit more taper in, but this is a demo purpose. So, and it's quite a large hook. So with touching turns, that's going to get on my nerves because it's way too long. Doesn't matter though. And flat thread. Work our way down the hook shank. Let me get some space in between me and that's better. And the aim is just to secure this in and build some taper. We don't need more than that. Go back up to the tying in point. Again, keeping your thread flat. So we're about there. Clean up here. I don't want any of these fibres underneath. We'll fix them. It's got this one. Got them. So this time, wet my fingers a little bit. Instead of just posting, I want a couple more wraps actually. That needs a little tiny bit more. That's got it. So I'll put 2 turns in front just to secure it. And taking the posting material, I'll just twist it. Let's zoom out a little bit. So there we go. So all I'm doing is just twisting the post material. Keep twisting it to get it nice and tight. And once it's ready, you can see it starting to, the kinks are starting to form from the twist. So then I'm going to, after I've got that out of the way, work out how much how much post I want, and grab with my free hand, bring this down and let go. And what we see is it furls. You can see it twisted up. Then we grip it with my free hand. Hey Jack. And a couple of securing wraps. It's way too long, it's getting on my nerves, but it's okay. A couple of securing wraps, maybe 3 then. Just hold that tight, let's have a look. Yeah, that'll do. And this time trim off at the front with a bit of taper. Hey Massey. Take the thread all the way forward and then back to the post. A couple of wraps around the post just to secure it. So now I've got a more stiff than usual post. It's good for bigger hooks because it's that little bit stiffer. What I'll do now is do a different method with the hackle as well, and cover it as we go along. So again, flat thread, start to post it, and again, because it's white thread, when I pull it tight, you can see that it changes color, and then I know that it's really tight. It's exactly how I want it to be. Benefits of this is it's a much stronger post, so you can see I'm wrapping and it's not really moving too much. It's not wispy, it's got some substance to it. And each time, pull and pull. As soon as you've got the post, a couple of mil, not more than a couple of mil. I am guilty of making my post too long, I try not to. Okay. So that's fairly rigid now. I mean, you can push it with a needle and it pings. You're live in an hour, Matty. Okay, I'll be there. I just thought I'd quickly do this. I saw a few things of people doing different parachutes, and there's so many ways to do it. I thought, why not make a quick live of the different ways to do it, and hopefully it will benefit maybe one or two people. So this time I'll put a bit of dubbing on for a thorax. Not really a pro tip or anything, but on your dubbing packet, just snip the corner. Snip a little bit out the corner and then only pull out the dubbing you need. By doing it this way, you can pull small amounts out and it's already aligned. So when you want to dub it on, it just goes straight on. I don't know if you've seen me before with sorting dubbing out to get it all aligned. It can be a pain if it's in these boxes. Don't buy these boxes. They're the worst thing ever. You think it's going to be good with all the selection, but it's really not. So anyway, back to this. Let's tie in a bit of a thorax to give it some look like a real fly. And I'll bring the thread again. I don't know if you can actually see that. So rather than under the hook, I take it up around the post and back to me. So then it's sitting this side facing down. Prepare the hackle again. These are tiny hackles as well, not good for this hook, but so this time instead of tying it in and posting it up, pull that thread there away, that's not good. I'm going to trim that away, that's getting on my nerves. There we go. So I'm going to, instead of posting it up, I'll just put the stem facing up. And because I'm going up, I don't want the shiny side facing me, I want the dull side facing me. Because I'm going in the opposite direction. So tie in the hackle at the bottom of the post. Again, can tighten nice and tight. I'll leave the thread at the top of this. So now I'll take the hackle, instead of going down, wrapping down the post, I'll wrap up the post. When I get to the top, one wrap round, hold the post, pull it tight, another wrap round, and final wrap just to catch that, to make sure it's not going to come out undone. Trim away the hackle. I'll just push my scissors through it. And now, because it's at the top, if this works on live, we'll see. Might be lucky. Hey, JJ. So I'll just whip finish above the hackle. That sort of worked. Pull it tight. Put it away. So now you get no hackle feathers under because everything's pointing the other way. And you can trim your post. Now the really cool thing is when you add your glue or your head cement, because you have this furled effect on the post, the varnish will run down and then spread out. So it will attach everything and keep it super firm. And so you don't have to whip finish under your hackle, you whip finish on top. If you've got any haters sticking out, you can always go in and trim individual ones. Like him there, I can see that one there. There we go. Give it a little brush to fluff it out. And that's another way of doing them. Is it the same with partridge? I think so. I think so, Jay. I think it is. So I've got actually funny. So what I've got here. Oh, these are paired wings. I've got the but this is a hen pheasant wing, right? You can see that mottledness and definitely softer feathers. And when you pull it, you can, because it's a wing feather, you can marry it back together and quite easily. The cockbird normally has these bars across it, and you need these center feathers. The center ones are the same on each side, mate. So, and they're much, much longer. If the chippy's close by, I guess so, yeah. So, yeah, anyway, thanks for joining. That's the other method. So we covered, let's see if I can remember. The Klinkhammer original with one piece of post going up for the taper, and and the hackle tied in from the bottom. For smaller hooks, you might not be able to see that so well, but for smaller hooks, then taking the post underneath the hook shank, you can see it here. So it gives it extra strength because it's a small gauge. You can really pull on that and it's never coming out. The other method, doing the post on top and binding it down, it's good for small hooks, doesn't give you the bulk, doesn't give you this bulky bit under there, under the thorax. It's unlikely, but you could essentially pull it off and it's more likely to move. But on a small hook, you should be okay. So they're my favourite methods for the original Klinkhammer, of course, the original Klinkhammer method, and the other two for small hooks. But for big hooks, I prefer this furled method because it's nice and firm. I wrap the hackle up so I don't get any feathers, any feather fibres underneath that I have to trim away. Plus, I get this nice taper on the body. So that's my methods for doing Klinkhammers or parachutes. Any questions? Oh, while you're there, Matty, can you see this one? Does that show up open? What do you think to that? I'll quickly tie one, right? It takes a second. It doesn't take long. So put a 14 emerger. Which one's heavy? What, these, Jay? It's not really heavy gauge. It's a Klinkhammer hook, mate. Anyway, size 14 emerger hook. Bit of wax on the thread. Oh, this isn't heavy gauge. This is it's a medium wire. This will be fine. This will good for reservoir trout, right? Because medium wire, so it won't bend that easily. I mean, I know that these smaller hooks, you have a Can't remember where I put that stuff now. I know with the smaller hooks you have the issue, right? That the hook will bend out or pull out. These things won't. Where did I put that fly? Anyway, so start getting some thread down the hook. Yeah, it's zoomed right in. You can see it's quite small against my finger. So use that. Maybe we should wear a different top. So I'll take the thread just round the hook eye, just round the hook bend even. Not too far. And then get my lovely Antron. This is sand I'm using. Pull out a little bit of Antron. So just a tiny bit. You don't need a lot of it. Tie this in. Has to be on the top and the back of the hook shank. Couple of wraps. Now pull it down and just a couple of wraps to lock it. We'll sort that out later. So it's way too long for a trailing shuck, but we'll fix it in a minute. Then I'll take some pheasant tail. Need some longer piece. This should do. Should be long enough. So only want about 4 strands. 4 pieces will do. Tie it in by the tip. Take the thread up the hook. Because this is I don't bother with any ribbing. Touch of super glue on the hook shank. Touch, not a big glob like that. And then get my hackle pliers. Try and grab this bloody stuff. Okay. And gently start wrapping up the body. It's got the super glue, so it should stick to the hook shank. And these are quick and easy to tie. So once I get up here, 2 wraps at the front, 2 wraps behind, 1 wrap in front. I can trim that away. Get some monofilament. Don't know if you can see that. You can see it in front of the hook there. So a couple of bits of mono, sorry, 1 bit of mono doubled over into a loop. Get the ends as level as you can. And then tie in the mono just under where the thorax is. Pinch and loop will help with that. Keeping it on top, just bring it back so it's behind the eye. That's it. And you want to secure this down really well. Push it out the way. I'll take my hackle. I've got a bigger one than this, this small one I'll cut up anyway. So tie in your hackle, Doesn't matter forwards or backwards on this, it really doesn't matter. Just tie it in, make sure it's in nice and sound. Then a little bit of black dubbing. Just the smallest little bit. Nice and tightly dubbed on. Take it up. And the idea of this is to give a bit of shape around the thorax, because you want the hackle stacker to sit over the top of it. So that's plenty, that little noodle. And then give yourself a good couple of mil at the eye on these. You can always add extra dubbing and add a bit more there to make it a bit more bulbous. So what I'm doing is aiming to get a nice shape and bring the thread to the front here. And now the cool bit. So I'll take the mono, pull my handy gallows tool over here. You don't need a gallows tool, you can do it by hand, but I find this easier. And all I'm going to do is, so I want the hackle to be roughly the length, so it goes, scissors, so it goes all the way over the top of the thorax. Let's move that in a bit. And all I'll do, quite simply, just start wrapping the hackle around, without chopping it, wrapping it around the mono that I've just put in. Touching turns, rough touching turns, doesn't have to be perfect. So I think that's about enough. And once I've got it to where I need it to be, I'll bring it back down. So you get to the bottom, and then I'll just bring it forward, bring it to my side of the hook, and a couple of wraps to tie it off. Now, release this, get this out of the way, so I'm going to pull it all back so I can secure it in properly. Get rid of these pieces that are sticking out that I don't want sticking out. Okay, that'll do. A couple there, but it doesn't matter. A couple of wraps. Still good. Better. There we go. And because I've really secured that in, I should be able to just ping it free, but I'm not going to do that. I'll cut it with a tool. So now I've got the hackle stacker. I take the mono in the one hand and then move this out the way. Take the hackle, pull it all back. Pull the mono forward, pinch it, and get 2 good wraps over the top of it. So now what I'll do, let go here and pull, just pull this tight. It pulls the hackle over the top. Pull it all back. And you really pull it tight. That's why you need it tied in really well in the beginning. So now it's there, take it all back and secure everything in behind the head, behind the hook eye. Don't worry about there being a bit too much of a big head on it. You can always just put a bit of dubbing on it. the one time when you do need to use your scissors to actually cut. I didn't try these. I'll try my cutters. They might be sharp enough. Try and remove the mono. That's a bit hard for the cutters. I'll just go with the scissors. There we go. And then a whip finish. Pull it tight. Turn this on. And with the trailing shuck, see how long you want it to be. And what I do is I just pinch it and then snap it away. Still a bit long, take a bit more for that. Still too long. That's it. There's a bit of dubbing sticking out there. That's not the end of the world. So when you do varnish it, flip it upside down and only varnish the bottom of the head. Avoids getting varnish all over the fly, and it holds pretty tight from that. If you want, very carefully give it a bit of a brush. Helps bring out the dubbing, looks like legs. And there you have, this is how, zoom back a bit, hackle stacker. Just as effective as a clink hammer and a lot easier. And they're easy to tie and they're superb flies. Just almost the perfect emerger, and that's still too long. Try and get a bit of taper in it. There we go. That'll do. Really easy, fantastic flies, float all day long. Good, so I'll wrap up. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you when you start your live then, Matty. Take care, gents. Bye-bye.